You're still watching Nile TV International, ladies and gentlemen. Hello and welcome to this special edition covering the Iranian-American-Israeli war. It's 1 month now. It's 1 month since the war started, and no one still knows when and how will it end. With us now over the phone is Dr. Sara, Professor of International Relations. Dr. Kira, good morning. Thank you for joining Nile TV International.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
Dr. Sara, the latest, are we in a new phase now of the war? Mr. Trump had extended the ultimatum to the Iranians until April the 6th. But we are, the ultimatum, of course, concerns not striking energy infrastructure in Iran, but we are seeing energy infrastructure in Iran being hit today and yesterday by the Israelis, even after Mr. Trump's postponement of the ultimatum. Are we in a new phase of the war? Are we in the most complicated phase of the war? Is this the escalation before the drawdown, or are we headed for a very long process?
Actually, I'll start with answering your question with the last word. It's a long process, yes. And Trump, along with his ally, Netanyahu himself, are playing with the statements, as usual, since this war started. And they are taking part in hitting Iran, which indicates that this war is going to be a long process, just like you said. And the Iranians apparently are prepared for this phase, okay? And the goal has been mentioned several times by those leaders, either Trump or Netanyahu, which is to topple the regime in Iran. And we believe that this is going to proceed, this war is going to proceed until Trump sees a sign of the regime falling, which doesn't seem like happening any soon. So it's going to be a vicious long war for toppling the regime. And that's the main goal that has been mentioned by them.
Right.
Of course, they don't want this kind of regime to have a nuclear program. And along with other very big story in facing China and its axis in the world and its influence, the U.S. is using this war to fight for its influence and its power in the world. And unfortunately, this is coming on the expense of its allies from the Arab nations and on the expense of the vision of the U.S. itself. So I think the U.S. is fighting for its influence the wrong way in the world. And actually, it's going to be a faster process for Trump, for his end and Netanyahu's end. They are both as well fighting for their political careers, which seems to be like, I think this whole war is to save Netanyahu himself, just to save the prime minister of Israel. We are waging a whole regional war to save him, to save his political career. So yes, it is a very long process and a very vicious war that Trump himself doesn't have an exit for. The only hope we have now is the mediation process that's going to start today between interested regional counterparts, either it's Turkey, of course, Egypt, and Pakistan and Saudi Arabia, because this war could turn into a World War III in any second. It's really a very dangerous phase that we're facing now. Iran is used to very long wars. We've witnessed that in its war with Iraq, lasted 8 years, and Iraq at the time, first they didn't have the geographic obstacles that U.S. have. They share borders. So it was a very long, vicious war as well. And Iranians apparently always get prepared for long wars.
Mm. Mm.
So the kind of exit we're looking for now, as Egypt leaders, as Egyptian leaders said, it will only be a diplomatic way out.
Yes.
Yes, please continue.
Yes, Dr. Sara, indeed you made a reference to the foreign ministers meeting on Sunday and Monday in Islamabad between the top diplomats of Pakistan, the hosts, along with Egypt, Turkey, and Saudi Arabia, of course, with Pakistan, Egypt, and Turkey playing the role of mediators, trying to bring the Americans together with the Iranians. We're seeing, Dr. Sara, finally, a role now for U.S. Vice President J.D. Vance. And we've heard reports that the Iranians want to see Mr. Vance in the negotiations, the potential negotiations, and not Mr. Witkoff or Kushner, because they believe they've been tricked twice in less than a year from Kushner and Witkoff. There are great efforts from Pakistan, from Egypt, from Turkey, but do you personally think that diplomacy still has a chance? I mean, we understand, you mentioned also, Dr. Sara, that Mr. Trump can't find the exit door. He had said it, maybe twice or three times during the war, that what he wants to see is surrender. And what he means by surrender is not, the white flags carried by the regime or the Iranian Revolutionary Guards Corps, because this will never ever happen. But he meant by surrender, accepting the conditions, the so-called 15 conditions we're hearing about in the media or whatever. Do you think the Iranians, first of all, do you think the diplomacy still has a chance, or have we gone to the point of no return after the continued hitting of infrastructure in Iran by the Israelis now? The Israelis are doing this now, as Mr. Trump seems to have given the green light to the war crime suspect, Israeli premier, wanted at the ICC for the genocide in Gaza. So do you think diplomacy still has a chance? Do you think direct talks will take place, or are we in the point of no return? Because the Iranians are threatening also to hit back at energy infrastructure in the entire region.
Unfortunately, true. And we're talking about diplomacy. And meanwhile, Trump is deploying troops, 3,500 troops in the region. To be honest, this war has two different agendas. One is by the Israelis, first to save Netanyahu from his political disaster inside Israel itself. He's facing sentence of corruption. And the USA has a different agenda. And it was mentioned in several hearings by officials in the Congress that, yes, they do have different agendas.
The oil?
The US wants to,
is it
yes,
oil?
please.
Is it oil, Dr. Sara? Is the
It's
American
not oil
agenda
this time.
oil?
It's not oil this time. I don't see that it's oil this time. We have the Venezuelan oil. We have the U.S. is self-sufficient from their own oil now. Okay, so it's not oil this time. It's about the regime and about handling Israel. And I understand why Iran refused Kushner, because he's the designer of the century's deal, which is the new Middle East.
Yeah, the Abrahamic Middle East, yes.
Exactly. And part of the new Middle East is to topple this regime, especially that this regime, the U.S. helped to structure in Iran as well, because they were against Mohammed Mossadegh, who was all for nationalizing their oil, and history proves that there was U.S. intervention to topple Mohammed Mossadegh for nationalizing petroleum through an operation, CIA operation, the Ajax operation. Okay, so yes, the U.S. has always had hand in the regime change or the regime structure in Iran. This time, the Iranian regime is totally prepared because they are they have their nuclear program, and they know that the they knew that the U.S. will not allow such a regime to have a nuclear program and the rocket program they have. The 15 points that you mentioned, 15 points deal, they were already rejected in the negotiations by the Iranians.
Correct.
They were already rejected before any strike. The Israelis striking.
Mr. Trump seemingly has the belief that the Iranians will capitulate, because remember, Dr. Sara, when it was leaked that Mr. Trump told his advisors that he was surprised that Iran didn't capitulate before the start of the war. He was surprised that they didn't take the threat seriously. It seems he's also surprised by the resistance he has seen so far. And he says he is surprised by Iran's targeting of Arab Gulf countries, although many experts and analysts could have easily told him that this will happen if Iran
Mr. Trump wasn't fooled at all, sir. Mr. Trump wasn't fooled at all. Maybe he was deceived by Israel, but that's the U.S. to blame for that. And even American citizens are talking about this now. It's all over the news everywhere. So, to be honest, the U.S. agenda is totally different from the Israelis, and Israelis have gone out of hand. And it seems like they have the green light to dominate this area.
Right.
Part of the Kushner's plan, or the new Middle East, it's no longer a hidden thing. It's totally uttered everywhere with the statements. It has turned out to be a religious war in the eyes of Netanyahu as well.
Correct.
So, yes, this is serious. So, the 15 points plan was rejected. Yes, diplomacy has an exit, hopefully with a very strong regional counterparts taking place, like Islamabad. Islamabad is a nuclear power as well. Okay, Saudi Arabia is of a very heavy weight in the region. Egypt as well, of course. Okay, and Turkey has an interest that this war doesn't go further for its economic interests and everywhere. So yes, diplomacy might have an exit. Yes, with such mediators, very strong regional counterparts as mediators in this war. Yes, the Iranians were very well prepared. I don't think Mr. Trump was fooled or was given misinformation. If the U.S. was misinformed...
Dr. Sara, allow me to interrupt you. So if diplomacy is to have a chance, and you've mentioned that the Iranians had rejected the 15 conditions or any American conditions before the war, and you are hinting to the fact that they are unlikely to now accept it after the war has started, and the Iranians are betting on prolonging the war, making oil reach 150 to 200, and starting to create casualties in the ranks of the Americans and the Israelis, especially if the Americans decide to put somehow boots on the ground. The question is, if there would be a breakthrough, from where would you expect the compromise to come or the concession to come? I mean, especially that it's now about the Hormuz Strait, which was not a problem before the war and is now a problem. In other words, if Mr. Trump is able to somehow reach a deal on Hormuz, do you think he can then go out and declare victory and stop the war?
Actually, closing the Hormuz Strait was a pressure card played by the Iranians. A smart one, yes, causing everyone a problem, but it's the way to pressure the U.S. We are in war, so all weapons are used. And Strait of Hormuz is one of the weapons used by Iran to humiliate the U.S. and like topple the whole world, economically speaking, to pressure the U.S. as well to stop this war. That's why we see today mediators moving in Europe and NATO. Yes. No one wanted to participate in this war for its vicious consequences.
Mm.
Okay? So where to start? I think it will start from the Arab nations.
Mm.
Because if we get to have a kind of an understanding between Iran and the Arab nations, that would be another hit against the U.S. losing their allies in the region. Especially that there is a very bad point in the U.S. Foreign policy. They did not support their allies. Okay,
Yes.
this is one thing.
Mm.
Second thing is that Iran is using the
They,
allies.
they allowed their allies to be struck. I mean, they should have known that their allies were going to be struck. They should have known this.
Of course they knew. Of course they knew. Because geographically speaking, Iran can only hit the Arab nations and Israel. I don't think that, or according to the statements, we don't know what's hidden. They don't have this kind of missiles or rockets to reach the U.S. Okay,
Right.
so geographically speaking, they will pressure on the Arab nations. Where is the U.S. military umbrella for the security of the Arab nations? And they had the audacity, some officials in the U.S., to drag the Arab nations to an unwanted war. So,
and they didn't respect their European allies neither, Dr. Sara, and this is why most of Europe have said this is not our war. Now we're getting an urgent news story on the screen here. Some 8 million Americans have taken to the streets on Saturday. 8 million Americans protesting against the war and protesting, you know, the No Kings movement, the No Kings movement against Mr. Trump. Do you think this could be a factor? Pressure from the American street, the demonstrations, the high gasoline prices. Do you think this could be pressure that could influence Mr. Trump's direction?
Actually, Mr. Trump is in a very bad position. Now he has to face his own people, explaining why he's making their lives harder. Because any nation, any people would only care about their economic status. It doesn't need an international relations expert to understand why the American people are furious. Of course, because this is a war. They got involved too without understanding why. And now they have to pay the price for it on their economic status, on their financial incomes, and they don't understand why. And many Americans believe they have been dragged to this war by Israel. And yes, now there are losses among American soldiers, and of course the U.S. citizens will not be happy about that because they are not defending themselves. They are not defending themselves. They started attacking. And there was negotiations taking place. The fact that Mr. Trump wants to prevail peace by force is not going to work with everyone, with every nation,
Right.
everyone.
Absolutely.
Enough wars for the world, and he doesn't want to listen. Honestly speaking,
I mean, especially
he doesn't want to listen.
Yes, especially if you have stopped 8 wars or claim to have stopped 8 wars, then you shouldn't initiate one, you know, as big as the other 8. Dr. Sara, the Houthi participation in the events, that perhaps one of the most important developments in the past 25 hours. How do you see that? Is there a possibility that the Red Sea as well would see bad navigation and interrupted navigation, and that the Al-Mandab Strait would be joining the Hormuz Strait? Or do you think that the Houthi participation is just, you know, a symbol of solidarity from the Houthis with Iran and will not have an effect on the war? What do you think?
It has an effect on the war, of course, and it's an escalation. It's a serious escalation because, well, Iran started defending, started responding, and then we see Hezbollah taking place, and these are the arms of Iran that have been long prepared for in the past decades. That's why I'm telling you that the Iranians are very well prepared. Yes, Hezbollah took different strong hits by the Israelis, and Houthis as well. But let's be honest, there has been a war against Houthis for very long, and they are still there. So Iran is now pressuring and escalating, as well as the U.S. They are using their arms in the Middle East now that they have been preparing for decades. Is this a nice practice or a good neighboring practice policy? Of course not. But because it jeopardizes Arab nations. Okay, but Iran now is like, I'm not going to fall alone. That's one thing. The other thing, they are using their arms for more pressure on the world. Hopefully, Bab el-Mandeb Strait doesn't get the same treatment as a Strait of Hormuz. But the thing is, the bad influence on all the Arab nations. First, the Arab nations, the Gulf, their security is jeopardized. Egypt's economic status is jeopardized now because of the escalation by the Houthis. It's the entrance of Canal Suez. We cannot handle that economically. So a lot of countries are squeezed. If Mr. Trump has a plan to give the administration of this region to Israel, this is not the way, and this is not going to happen. We have been here for centuries, civilizations. No one is going to run the Middle East by this kind of violence and this kind of new colonization. Israel cannot take, this is very explicit in their statements, in their papers, in their think tanks publishing. The think tanks that are related to the Republicans, they say that, very frankly speaking, that Israel is to control or dominate this area, this region, and then the U.S. is free to face China's influence and China's rise as a superpower in the world. This is actually going to be the failure of the U.S. This is actually going to be not a success story, unfortunately. And we now see it reflecting in 8 million protecting in the U.S.
Right.
So it's going to make the failure of the U.S. as a superpower faster than Mr. Trump thought.
You know, Dr. Sara, but we were just reading on the screen here on Nile TV one of Mr. Trump's posts, and he was threatening to, you know, again, bring hell to Iran, some sort of thing like that. What more can the Americans do? I mean, they have hit Iran, the Iranian army, the Iranian navy, the Iranian schools, the Iranian hospitals, the Iranian residential buildings, the Iranian nuclear power plant, which they obliterated last June, or so they say. They have hit, you know, steel factory, along with the Israelis, of course, steel factories. They have assassinated the top ranks of the leadership, maybe rank 1, rank 2, maybe rank 3 as well. They have hit energy infrastructure. They have assassinated nuclear scientists. They have cut power and made Tehran sleep in darkness. I mean, what more, when he says hell, when Mr. Trump says, I'm going to bring hell to Iran, I mean, what more can he and Israel do to Iran, which is still launching ballistic missiles and still killing Israelis and targeting American bases in the region?
No more hell can be offered to Iran or the whole region, because we're all paying the price for an unwanted and a war we are not involved in. The thing is, Mr. Trump is now waiting for one of two things. Unfortunately, Mr. Trump, who says he cares about the Iranian people, he's pressuring the Iranian people to come out on the streets and ask for a regime change, or he's asking or waiting for the Iranian leaders of this kind of regime, Wilayat al-Faqih regime, to surrender and say, okay, we're leaving power and we're going to surrender to the U.S. Please choose a president for us. He's waiting for one of two things. He's pressuring the people to move, and no one can move or protest economic status, witnessing their nation under attack. That's one thing. So I think the white supremacy here makes Mr. Trump think that he can even control the people of Iran, and or he waits for a 50 years long regime to surrender now and say, okay, I've got enough hits from the U.S., now I will surrender. They have even said no to the 15 points plan. They already said no to before, and they have already stated that no. Every time Mr. Trump comes out and says that there is ongoing negotiations with Iran, Iran denies that. So it seems like Iran is prepared for a long war.
Yeah,
Mr.
he
Trump
will not.
wasn't.
He will not get surrender, Dr. Sara. That's the most likely
He will
case
not get
there.
the
He will not
surrender,
get it.
and he will not get the people moving under this kind of strikes and attacks. Those are two things.
Maybe they can
Among
strike.
with
Maybe they can
casualties-
strike some type of compromise regarding Hormuz and regarding the share of oil wealth, and then oil and Hormuz would be the solution. Remember when Mr. Trump said? Remember when Mr. Trump said, "I want to run the Strait of Hormuz along with the Ayatollah."
Okay, he must tell us how. Mr. Trump is dreaming. He must tell us how. What is his strategy to do that?
Okay.
We
I
are
have a
not on
final
any-
question about southern Lebanon, Dr. Sara, and 2 minutes, please. Thank you for bearing with us, Dr. Sara. Is there a risk of another Israeli genocide war in Lebanon, just like they committed genocide in Gaza? The reason I'm asking this is that today, I mean, we started to see now Lebanese paramedics being killed, Lebanese journalists, 3 journalists being killed today, over 1 million people displaced, Israel taking up new chunks of southern Lebanon every day, Israel even intercepting drones over Syria and also tampering with Syria. So what do you think will happen with Lebanon?
Another genocide seems to be on the map, unfortunately, from the people who claim to be democratic and all humane. And yes, Israel wants southern Lebanon and southern Syria. So they have a chance now. They use and seize the chance with this turmoil going on in the Middle East to take more land on the expense of Lebanon and Syria. With everything that happened,
what could stop them then, Dr. Sara?
only the U.S., sir. Only the U.S.
All right.
The U.S. has to refrain Israel.
All right.
But if they can't refrain Israel now,
Yeah.
so
then
the
we
U.S.
will,
is losing
then we,
again influence on the Middle East.
Yeah. Then we will have war everywhere, and yeah, and not
It is
only
already
in Iran, but
happening.
also in Lebanon. Yeah, yeah.
It is already happening. We're witnessing different strikes on different countries, and let's not forget also the Israeli strike on Qatar.
Of course.
That was another. Israel respects none of its neighbors, and meanwhile they want peace agreements under Abraham Accords. This is a dream. This is not going to happen.
This is a joke, Dr. Sara. Allow me to say, it's not a dream. It's a joke. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much, Dr. Sara Kira, the Professor of International Relations. It's been a great pleasure. And thank you for watching us, ladies and gentlemen. In about 15 minutes' time from now, we'll be back with 9 News. Please stay with us.